All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Back to Viz Basics live. We're switching these from going from just review of submissions into actual how-tos on how to complete our challenges. So for our week 2 challenge of 2025, we are building multiple line chart. I'm going to use Tableau this week just to review. We are open to all tools to start as a Tableau project, but I might hop into different tools throughout the year just to, kind of showcase them and maybe even just compare them to Tableau, which is my tool of choice. So let's go ahead and jump into our review today. All right, so as always, you can find everything that you need to know about the project on our Tableau Student Guide website under the Back to Viz Basics tab. We have our schedule on here, how to participate, and just some other things. So Back to Viz Basic tips. These are put together by Shreya every week. So here's a link to her website. So a lot of really useful, quick tips and tricks just to continue to improve your data viz skills based off of some of the challenges that we've done in the past and other new challenges that we're going to be doing this year. We also have a suggestion box, so if there's a topic or some data that you'd like us to work with, feel free to reach out or share that there. And then there is a submission form. So I've updated the submission form for 2025, just formatted a little bit differently, also trying to capture the different tool that people have used. So once you fill this out and submit it, it all populates a dashboard here on my Tableau public profile. We have a filter just here for 2025, so that's why we're only seeing 2 weeks of challenges right now, but I did update this. So when you hover over a dot here, you can now click to view the submission, or you can connect with this person on social media. So I think before I just had their Twitter or X account in there, but now if you share your LinkedIn or whatever, wherever you want people to connect with you, you can do that on here. So continue to fill this out. If you have a teal color here, that means that you've completed all challenges for that year. If you have purple, looks like you're probably just missing one or a few others. So try to complete all challenges if possible. I'd love to see this number kind of trend up versus down. And hopefully we can get a few visit of the days out of some of our submissions this year. That's the KPI that we're missing in here now. All right, that's all the housekeeping stuff. Let's hop over into Tableau. So I am connected to, actually one other thing before we do that. I think some people had some issues with this, but this is new to data.world where we host our data. So when I click on the challenge, it brings me here and it says, oh, we can't find that page. That is not true. Data.world just kind of changed their security. So you actually have to be logged in order to view the page. So when I sign in here, of course, my password has expired. Wonderful. All right. Well, I will update that later. But if you get that error, that just means that you need to sign in to your data.world account in order to view the actual page where we have our data listed. So I would pull up that page right now, but I need to reset my password. I will do that after this. But here's our data downloaded and pulled into Tableau. So we are looking at different subscriptions in the UK, right? So I think everybody probably has at least one subscription, whether that's to a film service, a magazine, a music subscription, newspaper, or any other type of subscription. So that's what we're looking at here. Remember on our data pane, this is kind of where we want to just view our data from a high level and make sure that everything that we're bringing into Tableau or whatever our tool of choice is set up for analysis in the right way. So we're looking at our percentages here. I see that I have a lot of extra trailing decimals. That's fine. We can just round that in Tableau. But most importantly, this is coming in as a number. When I format this as a percent, it's going to show as a whole number as a percent value, which we'll edit that. My date, that's coming in as a date field. That looks good to me. It's not reading it as a string or anything else, so it'll make it easier to work with. We have some other values in here, our base, our unweighted base. Those descriptions are in the data.world page, but I'm not going to be using those just for what we're going to be going through today. And then I also have an age. So we do have an age breakout by subscription by year. So this kind of adds a little bit of another, just a little bit more dimensionality to our dashboard here, our worksheet that we're going to build, just because we can filter it by year and age and kind of see how those trends change over time. As always, if you're doing this, you'll need to extract your data and publish this to Tableau Public. It cannot be a live connection, so just keep that in mind. I'm just going to keep it as a live connection in the interest of time. So let's go ahead and build our multiple line chart. So let's just first by building a line chart. So in order to do that, I need to have a measure, and then I need to have some series of time. We're also going to be breaking this out by our other dimensions. So that's how we're going to get our multiple line charts. Let's just first focus on maybe 2024, or we'll just focus on an individual age group, looking at an individual subscription over time. So just a very simple line chart to start. So let's first format our percentage. So we know that looking at our data pane, that was formatted as a decimal. Let's go ahead and change the default properties of that number format to a percent. And I'm just going to keep it as a whole number, so no decimal points. So now anytime I bring that out, it's going to be formatted as a percent, and I don't need to change that on every worksheet. So I love doing that in the beginning. It just saves me a lot of time in developing. I don't need to constantly change the way that my numbers are formatted. All right, and then we have our survey date. So let's bring out our survey date, put that on columns. And right away we get our headers, right? This is being brought in as a dimension. Probably want to change this into a continuous measure. So I'm going to right click on this and change this to, this is my date part values up here. These are my date values. So our date parts, that's just going to pick out the individual part of our date and give us a dimension for that as a header row. So make sure that, just depending on your situation, I know we always get a lot of questions on, well, I don't know when to use which. It really just depends on how you're visualizing your data and the story that you want to tell here. So I'm going to change this to a continuous axis here. So it changes my pill to green there. And now let's bring out our percentage onto rows. That's going to give us our line. Now, right away, I know this this really doesn't make sense because look at our percent value over here in our range. So let's go ahead and bring in our filter. So I'm going to filter for my age range, which is 25 to 49 here. And I'm going to bring out the subscription type filter and just take a look at music subscriptions for now. Very simple line chart here. That's how we do it. So we need to bring out some type of date time value as well as our metric. So that's how we form our line. And now we can do a lot of formatting to this. So we can change this mark from a line to an area chart. Sometimes I like working with area charts. I like seeing less white space here. So that's typically when maybe I'll work with an area chart. But when we're working with multiple line charts, that's probably where we would just want to use a line. So let's say I remove subscription type off of filter, and now I'm going to bring that onto my color or detail. So that's how we can get multiple lines within the same view, because we're basically telling Tableau, hey, I have this other categorical value here, but I want a line for each of those categories. So if I bring that out and show and drop that on detail, now I'm going to get a line for all of my different subscription types. Now, this is a little hard to read, right? So there's a lot of different formatting that we can do. Maybe we write a calculation for that will highlight the value that I have selected in my parameter. That's a bit more advanced. Maybe everything is colored gray except for the last values. That could be a calculation that we write as well. Or I could drop my subscription type onto color as well, and now I get a different colored line for each of my values in that subscription field. So that's another option that we could do here. When we play around with this marks card, we can change the thickness of the line, so we can make it a little bit thicker. If we drop onto path, we have options to change it to dotted, different line types like this. So a lot of really interesting things that we can do there in formatting. All right, so this is kind of one option for a multiple line chart. Maybe we add this as we show our filter over here, and maybe we turn this into a single value list that allows me to kind of filter between my different age groups. Right, so this is one option. But let's kind of build like I believe it's called like a trellis chart or a panel chart, where we kind of have a section for each individual thing. So let's go ahead and build another version of this. So I'm going to bring out my percentage onto rows. I'm going to bring out my age and put that in front of rows as well. And then I'm going to bring out my survey date and put that onto columns. So what we have here, we're not done yet, but just to kind of summarize, we have our date going across the bottom here. We're now breaking this out by our age range, and then we have our value as the percent. Now what I want to do is put another categorical value across the top. So that's going to be my type of subscription. And now we kind of have this trellis chart view. Let me tell this to take up the entire view. I'm going to change my value from a date part to a date value. All right, let's actually turn this into an area chart. I think this will look a little bit nicer. All right, so kind of what's going on here. So this is the trellis chart. We have our subscription type across the top. So going down, we know that this is all of our film service subscriptions, all of our magazine subscriptions, our music subscriptions, and so on. And then we have the breakout by our different age groups. So I can see here for ages 18 to 24, film subscription is pretty high, a little over 40-ish%. I'll have that kind of trending down in the last year or two. For individuals that are 65 or older, only about 20% or less have a film subscription. So a bit interesting. I kind of found this interesting taking a look at, where's the newspaper category? Newspaper. Kind of that younger age group, really not interested in newspapers, but our older age group, a little bit more interested in newspapers. I thought that was a little bit interesting, but I guess kind of overall paper is going down because a lot of folks can just get their news through social media now or a subscription online. So yeah, I kind of like the area chart for this view. This is a multiple line chart still, but it's kind of not on the same view. It's all broken out into individual panels. Something else that I've seen people do is rather than, and this kind of depends on the story that you want to tell, is show just the difference from 2019 to 2024. Now, sometimes I think that can be a little bit misleading because let's take a look at this for this one here, for example. So we're looking at music subscriptions for 25 to 49 age group. In 2019, they were at 29%. In 2024, they're at 43%. So from that time range, they did increase. But if we wanted to know, well, are they increasing or decreasing now? 2023 to 2024 shows a decrease in those subscriptions. So what I mean by that is we just need to be careful in the story that you're wanting to tell. We don't want to be misleading our users by showing, hey, this is actually increasing when in the last year or two it actually was decreasing. So just kind of something to think about. But how I've seen people do kind of that view is if they just want to show, what was the change from 2019 to now, they would just filter for those two, and you kind of get a funny looking area chart here. Where it's really just, almost like a box, just 2 points. But I always found this interesting. I kind of like this style, just kind of showing, the change in time or the percent over time. So that is another option as well. So maybe let's just build one other view here just in the time that we have. So I'm going to build out I'm going to bring out my survey date here, change this to a continuous axis, my date value, bring out my percentage onto rows. And then maybe we do our subscription type going down. We put our age range on detail. Let's see what happens here. And we drop this on color. So this is a bit messy. I definitely would not build something like this. So, I can't really tell what's going on here. But one of the neat features about Tableau is, it formats all of these axes to be the same. So we're looking at 0 to 60%. Now that works for something like this where we can kind of see the difference in these line charts, but down here, everything's on top of each other. What we could do is we could right click, edit axis, and we could say, okay, rather than using the automatic range for my axis, right now it's using a uniform axis for everything, right? 0 to 60%. I could say use an independent range for each row and column. And now that's going to independently change the axis range that I have for each of my sections. So now this is 0 to 40. This is 0 to 20, 0 to 60, and 0 to 10. So now I can kind of see a little bit of that change, but again, we just have to keep in mind the story that we're trying to tell here, because if people just automatically assume that this range is all the same, they're going to say, wow, our information subscription here for stocks and shares is really high, higher than our music subscription, right? Or something like that. But we just need to point out that, our ranges are different. So maybe that's a label, or we just kind of highlight it in a different color or bold it just so people know that our range is different here. Let's add a filter in here. I'm actually going to filter just for stocks and shares because I thought that was an interesting analysis point. Let me make this a little bit thicker so everybody on the live can see here. Let's add our labels on here. I'm just going to label the line ends. So this is all ways that we can kind of format how our marks look in our worksheet. So the marks card is your friend. Play around with the formatting on here. Let's just change the colors of this just so we can see how to do that. So I just clicked on color on the marks card, edit colors. I'm going to pick the Jewel Bright and assign that some different colors. All right, so this is this is a subscription to stocks and shares, which I kind of found this really interesting. Now overall low subscription for this, only the highest is 10%. But if we look at the younger population, 18 to 24, they're the highest. 10% of that age group has subscriptions to stocks and shares, where our lowest 65 plus is only 1%. I really found that interesting that the younger generation is interested in that type of information and investing and securing their financial future. So that's good to see. Where folks in the 65 or plus are retiring and maybe not as interested in doing that anymore because they've saved up their whole life and are ready to retire. So interesting data there. So overall, that is everything that we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed this session. Like I said, this is kind of the year of teaching. So rather than just reviewing dashboards that were submitted, I'm going to be going through how to build these different versions. So not really a polished dashboard at the end of it, but just kind of showing how to use the marks card, how to build the different views, how you can kind of format and work with the same data and visualize it in different ways. So if you're enjoying these sessions, please join them. Please share them out, like and subscribe on YouTube, follow me on LinkedIn. We'll be doing these with every challenge that we do this year. But that is all the time that we have for today. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.